Lena was a quiet girl. She lived in a small town, the kind where nothing ever changed. The streets were lined with sleepy trees, and the people smiled at each other like they'd known one another forever, which most of them had. Lena was the girl who always carried a book under her arm, who walked slowly past the bakery in the mornings, and who liked to sit by the lake at sunset, watching the water ripple like it held secrets just beneath the crow's surface. People in town thought she was sweet. A little shy, maybe a bit odd, but harmless. No one ever heard her raise her voice. No one ever saw her cry. She simply existed like a ghost still clinging to life, quiet and unnoticed. But Lena had a secret. She had a boyfriend. His name was Max. She'd mention him sometimes. Max and I were talking about that book, or Max told me he's visiting soon. The strange thing was no one had ever seen Max. Not once. Emma, Lena's best friend since childhood, teased her about it constantly. "You sure he's real?" Emma would laugh. "Maybe he's a ghost you made up." Lena never laughed back. She would only smile. A slow, distant kind of smile that made Emma uncomfortable without knowing why. One afternoon, Lena said something different. "Max is coming today," she told Emma as they walked home from school. "Really?" Emma asked. "Where are you taking him?" "The lake house," Lena said. The lake house had once belonged to her grandparents. It had been empty for years now. Weathered and forgotten, it stood on the edge of the lake like it was holding its breath. Most people said it was haunted. Emma chuckled. "You're taking your mystery man to the creepiest place in town?" Lena smiled. But it wasn't a warm smile. It was hollow. That's where we met. The sky was already dim when Lena left her house. She didn't take a flashlight. She didn't need one. She knew the path to the lake by heart. The wind had picked up. The trees swayed violently, their branches snapping and moaning like they were trying to speak. The sky above turned a dark, bruised gray, and somewhere in the distance, thunder growled low. When she reached the lake house, the wooden boards groaned beneath her feet. The house stood crooked now, with moss growing along the sides and vines crawling through the cracks. The door was barely attached to its hinges. She stepped inside. Dust filled the air like fog. The floorboards creaked under her boots. The fireplace was cold and empty, and broken glass from a shattered window glittered in the moonlight like tiny stars. Then the door slammed shut behind her. She didn't jump. She didn't even look back. "I know you're here," she whispered. There was no answer. But her smile returned. She sat on the floor, legs crossed, and stared at the shadows moving along the walls. Her hands were folded neatly in her lap. Then she pulled out her phone. There was no signal, but still a notification appeared. One new message. From Max. Her finger trembled slightly as she tapped it open. "I am here, in the water." Lena stood up. Her movements were calm, controlled, like she was sleepwalking. She walked out the back of the lake house and down the creaking steps to the shore. The lake stretched out before her, black and endless, the surface smooth like glass. The moon glowed above, casting a silver path across the water. She pulled something from her coat pocket, a red lily. She kissed it once and gently tossed it into the water. It floated for a moment. Then the water rippled. Bubbles rose to the surface. And something began to appear. A shape, a figure, a man. He rose slowly from the water, step by step, like he was being pulled from the depths by invisible hands. It was Max. But not the Max from her memories. His skin was pale. His eyes were hollow. His smile was too wide. His hair floated around his face as if the lake was still clinging to him. But Lena didn't run. She didn't scream. She walked forward. "Did you wait for me?" he asked. "I always wait," she said. He reached out his hand. She took it. It was cold. So cold. They stood like that for a moment, just holding hands, two silhouettes by the lake under the silver moonlight. Then Lena whispered, "Take me with you." He nodded. They turned toward the water and walked in together, side by side. The water reached their ankles, then their knees, then their waists. She never let go of his hand. When it reached their chests, Lena looked up at the stars. She smiled, and then they were gone. The water stilled. The ripples faded. Silence. The next morning, Emma went looking for Lena. She followed the familiar path to the lake house. The wind had stopped. The sun was out. Birds chirped in the distance as if nothing had happened, but something had. She found Lena's shoes at the edge of the lake, and floating nearby, a red lily. Emma screamed. She called the police. They searched the area. Boats combed the lake. Divers scoured the bottom. They found nothing. No body. No sign. Just footprints that ended at the water. Weeks passed. Then a month. Emma stopped talking to people. She barely left her room. One night, she had a dream. In it, she stood beneath the lake. The water was still. Calm. Peaceful. And there, in the soft glow of the moon filtering from above, she saw them, Lena and Max, holding hands, smiling. Their eyes met hers, and they smiled wider. The next morning, Emma woke up with tears on her face and water on her windowsill even though it hadn't rained. People in town started whispering. They said the lake was cursed. They said the house wasn't empty anymore. Fishermen swore they heard voices whispering from the water late at night. Children dared each other to walk to the shore, only to run back screaming after seeing a girl in white staring at them from across the water. Some said it was just stories. Others said they saw her, still waiting, still smiling. Love can be beautiful, but love can also be dangerous. Because when we hold on too tightly to something we've lost, sometimes it holds back, and sometimes it pulls us under.